Hey there, it's Brian Murphy with A Action Realty Inspection Services. It's really important to have your new construction inspected. This particular home has already been inspected by the city and passed the electrical inspection, but we found something major by just going through and actually testing all the outlet switches and fixtures. We started off, what clued us off was we plugged in our outlet tester and all three lights came on. Typically, when all three lights come on, you either have an energized ground or you have what's called a bootleg ground, which makes us like dig in a little bit deeper to find out what's going on so we can inform the client. Here, on this particular one, we found that the ground wire inside the home is carrying a current. What's important about getting this repaired, because the ground wire should never carry a current at all, because the ground wire is also acting as a bonding wire to bond all metal components together. And you don't want all the metal components in the house energized. But if the ground wire is carrying a current and it goes around and bonds the appliances and the plumbing together, then what happens is it energizes the housing of all the appliances and all the plumbing. So let me show you what we found over here. So we have no current other than we have a disposal that's connected, but the disposal is not running right now, but we have current going through our plumbing lines. And that means that all the copper pipes inside the walls right now are energized. The reason why we don't want this, obviously we have water here, and it's not uncommon for someone to be barefooted inside the kitchen. So if they were barefooted and touched this pipe at the same time, they become the path of least resistance, and they become the ground back to earth and basically can shock or electrocute them. So what we also found was the piping here, and again we use our ground wire to bond all of our electrical housing together. So if we look here, the housing of the oven is carrying the current as well. So I'm going to take you into the bathroom real quick. So if we look here, just think about being barefooted here and having a sink and you're operating the sink. Your sink is energized. Luckily enough, most of the people working on the house right now are probably wearing shoes or boots of some sort. But if I reach down here and touch the plumbing, you can see the electrical components, or the plumbing components there are energized, and they shouldn't be. So let's take you to the garage real quick. So another thing that we found in the garage area is the receptacles had reverse polarity on them, meaning that it's showing that the hot and neutrals are crossed, even though they may not be crossed. But because the ground is carrying a current, it's showing us reverse polarity here. If it was true reverse polarity, this receptacle should not reset, but it does. So that tells us again that the ground is carrying a current as well. If we go to the housing here, we open up the panel, and the panel box metal housing is carrying a current, and it should not do that. We have noticed that the bonding screw for the neutral is not connected, and now that could be one of the things that it's backfeeding, or it could be a screw running through a hot and neutral at the same time. But if we look at our ground wires, even our ground wires are showing to carry a current, and they should not do that. So it's super important to have your new construction inspected, so that for your next inspection, you can call on A Action Realty Inspection Services, and we can keep you and your family safe.